Shalom, I'm Moreh Matan, and welcome to this week's Moreh Minute. The Torah portion this week is called bo, and that is an interesting word in Hebrew because it means go, but it can also mean come. Pharaoh is not going to let the people go, and the plagues are overtaking Egypt. In chapter 10, something very interesting happens. Moses once again asks for Pharaoh to let God's people go. But Pharaoh has a qualifying question. Let who go? Just who are you planning on taking with you? And in verse 9, Moses says, our young and our old, our sons and our daughters, our flocks and herds, everyone is coming with us. Pharaoh is not a fan of this plan. And so he says, no, only the men can go. The men can go with you, not the women and children. This is so important for us to realize that Pharaoh is trying to have it both ways. He's trying to say, okay, you can go as long as you take the men. But why would he say this? It's very important for us to understand that if Pharaoh only lets the men go, it is the end of the people of Israel. Because if the men only go, and not the women and the children, then the free people of Israel cannot multiply and establish themselves as a nation the way that God wants them to. We see that today, and in fact there's a wonderful book that was produced decades ago called The Wellspring of the Torah. And here's what it says there, that by letting only the men go, that what he is doing is destroying the Jewish nation. And the pharaohs of today are saying, yes, we want the young people to stay in Egypt, so to speak. You old folks, you can keep to Jewish tradition, you can learn about what it means to live a Jewish life, but the young people, they must live in the spirit of their time, or in the spirit of these times. Isn't that exactly what our enemy does to us today? He tries to get a hold of our young people so that the faith will not be passed down. My father has said ever since I was a kid that our faith is only one generation away from extinction. If we don't proclaim the good news of the gospel to the next generation, or as it says in the Psalms, to commend God's works from this generation to the next, if we don't do that, well, we're in a very dangerous position of the faith dying out. We can't let that happen, and we won't let that happen. We're going to continue to proclaim the good news, to proclaim the gospel, to tell people about the Messiah, no matter what society says, or no matter what opposition comes against us. It's interesting that the pharaohs of the world still would like to keep the Jewish people captive. At the time of this filming, just a couple of days ago, was Holocaust Remembrance Day. I personally have been to Auschwitz I and Auschwitz II Birkenau twice, both in 2007 and 2008. I took these missions trips to Poland to teach English, conversational English, to Polish children simply because I knew that we'd be able to go and see the sites of these awful concentration camps. I wanted to be able to tell people that I saw these things with my own eyes. I saw the ovens, I saw the gas chambers. I was witness to it myself. We love to say never again when we talk about the Holocaust, but there is a Holocaust of a different kind, a spiritual slavery that the enemy wants to put people in by influencing the younger generation to try to get them to assimilate and to turn away from the ways of God. This is exactly what happened in the story of Hanukkah, trying to get the people to assimilate. It's exactly what happened when the Jewish people were coming out of Egypt and only 20% left. It's exactly what happened when the children of Israel had a chance to come back from exile and come back into the land, and not everybody came back. We get assimilated, we get comfortable, we become a part of the culture if we're not careful. That is what we have got to fight against. So we have got to say, like Moses, who are we bringing with us on this journey? Who are we bringing with us in this message of faith? Our young, our old, our women and children, our entire families, everyone. We are taking everyone with us on this journey. And if you don't like it, well, then the God of Israel has something to say about it. So, as we look at this Torah portion, I want you to be encouraged, because even though Pharaoh hardened his heart, God was able to use that for His glory. Remember, we are promised in the New Testament that everything will work out for the good to those who love God and are called to His purpose. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Moreh Matan. It's my joy to be with you every week. Read the Torah portion this week. Go online, look at some commentaries, and remember, stand up for what is right. Speak your mind, speak your conscience, stand up for righteousness and godliness. And it doesn't matter what the world says, because we have the Lord on our side, and the battle is His. Shalom and Kol Tuv.